Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War, Warhammer 2, Quick Match gameplay. This time around we are on Iron Sand Desert, playing as the High Elves against the forces of the Vampire Coast, led by Romulan Dog, who many of you have no doubt seen in tournaments and the Everchosen and all that sort of stuff. So, rather good player, and going into this we kind of discussed what matchup we wanted to try. He was interested in trying some gameplay against High Elves, who I think are a pretty tough matchup for the Vampire Coast, so I figured, might as well oblige. I actually picked up this build from a player I fought against, or a similar build to this one, from a player I fought against as the Vampire Coast and myself. And I tweaked it a little bit, mostly because I wanted to screw around with different Lord options. So for my Lord, I'm bringing Tyrion, the new and improved Lord Tyrion here, riding astride Melhandir. He's pretty expensive kitted out. He does have some good gear. The ward save's actually from the Signs of Mathlon at the moment, but he does have Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, Feint and Riposte, Sunfang, which I figured could be good against the masses of cheap trash infantry that the Vampire Coast tends to bring, and the Heart of Avalorn, which has been improved to now kick off when he's over 20% health. He's with his stats, he's pretty monstrous. He now has true AP, and he's a pretty crazy dedicated Lord killer and monster killer. So I figured he might be some fun, and we might get some good use out of him. Alongside him, we do have a Mage of Light, who is bringing nothing too fancy. He does have Exorcism, Frost Protection, Net of Mintok to prevent enemies from fleeing my shooting, and Shem's Burning Gaze. I wanted to try that out and see if I could get it to work. Over on this flank, we do have a Handmaiden of the Everqueen, who I wanted to once again try out. Something I wanted to try. She's got very respectable stats, really low armor because she's on a normal horse here, but I figured maybe she can pew away at some big targets or artillery pieces or things like that, get some value, and she's pretty mobile. She does have a bonus for large, so hey, maybe we'll get some value. For the rest of the army, it is actually pretty simple, pretty low tier stuff. For the most part, frontline is spearmen alongside the Signs of Mathlon over here, backed up by 2 archers with light armor, 4 archers without armor, and then 2 Sisters of Avalorn in the back, so providing a very wide firing line to simply overwhelm my opponent's defenses. For Romulan Dog, he does have a single unit of Scurvy Dogs, which he deployed here in the back, and I actually didn't see. One of the things that I kind of hate about the game is the fact that with the way the minimap is set up, and you've got especially these icons in the corners, you oftentimes can't see if there's a unit in the corner. And so I wasn't aware of this. I didn't check, which was my mistake, but I wasn't aware of this until much later in the game. Otherwise, though, for his army, front line of dirt cheap trash troops, zombies, Tide of Skjold, zombie pirate deckhands, pirate gun deckhand mobs with pole arms, the works, a whole bunch of pirate gunnery mobs in the back, including the Black Spot, who are the Regiment of Renown with anti-large AP, a carronade, what's called a cannon, double mortars, and then the gunnery white here, who is an okay ranged damage dealer, but more importantly, he does provide more powder, which is replenishment of ammo. He does have Dead Eyes, which improves the damage of nearby troops, and he actually brought Scab's Wrath, which I do believe does some okay anti-light infantry damage. Another interesting addition to this build is the duo of animated Hulks. These guys are pretty trash in my opinion, but they are dirt cheap. They are actually only 750 gold, and they have pretty high AP values, so potentially they could do some work if they don't get gunned down by archery fire. Count Noctilus is over here with Invocation of Nehek, Melkos Miasma, Raised Dead, or his own variety, Raised the Drowned Dead, Captain Roth's Moondial, Wraith Storm, an Arcane Conduit. So he's got the works, he's mounted on his Necrofex Colossus, and immediately we are getting pounded by the artillery barrage as we try to close the gap. Now, honestly, here we are seeing the issue with trying to bring Tyrion. Simply put, Tyrion does not have the survivability, I suppose, or the ability to really do much here. If I try to charge in here with Tyrion, I'm going to get gunned down by this crossfire of handguns and the cannons, so very well deployed by my opponent. If I try to go after Count Noctilus, same thing's basically going to happen. So I'm kind of forced to feint and pretend I'm going to charge. I'm not really able to do very much. You can see the Handmaiden there trying to chip away at the mortar a little bit, but really not able to do very much. And we're shortly kind of forced off by Romulan's fire. That said, we are slowly but surely making our way forward with the infantry, though we are going to come under some hateful fire from the mortars. And that said, the mortars are not getting any AoE buffs from the gunnery white, which is going to be good for us. It's going to help us at just weathering the storm, because the mortars are not very accurate by default. You can see Count Noctilus here is being made to regret his life decisions by a volley of arrow fire. And you can see between the Sisters and the normal archers, he is getting pounded. Sister Avalorn actually did get a buff this past batch, I do believe, if I can find them here as well. They've got a much higher AP ratio now. You can see 18 to 4, which used to be, I think, 16 to 6, I think, or 15 to 7, something like that. It was pretty bad. You can see now, rather than focusing on my opponent, trying to get into my opponent's backline or anything like that, I'm simply resigning myself to trying to gun down his front line. That said, a bit of misplay here with the Handmaiden, trying to get shots into the cannon. And she's not really able to deliver. I don't know. The Handmaiden, with the lumps in the land here, with the berms, she's having a very hard time getting decent shots and decent value in. Not really able to do very much. Honestly, I was pretty disappointed with her. That said, our arrow fire is coming in, raining into the mortars, which we are trying to break apart and force off the field because they're the biggest threat by far to my archers. In the meantime, the spearmen are going to push forward to engage and try to stem the tide, but unfortunately a barrage of hate coming down on these guys. Sisters of Avalon overextending, and we are going to about to get barraged by the Tempests, or whatever it's called. And it does hit the signs of Mathline, does a bit of damage to Sisters. But yeah, these guys, they're going to have to hold or do their best. That said, we are about to take one of the mortars offline with some focused archery fire. And once the mortar is offline, at least half the damage coming in against us will be gone and done with. Unfortunately, though, over here, these hounds have managed to get into our backline, and we do have some disruptive elements. These zombie pirate deckhands who also snuck in around. They were summoned earlier and are kind of causing some mayhem. And these guys degenerate very slowly. They're a major pain in the rear. And they're actually a threat in melee, unlike normal zombies. That said, the Scurvy Dogs here, they're going to get into Sisters of Avalorn, but not going to be able to get very much done because Sisters do have passable melee stats. They're going to be able to hold at least for a little while. In the meantime, we are going to unload on these annoying zombie pirate gunnery mob that were summoned. And you can see, now our spears are getting cleared up over here. Tyrion getting beaten down in close quarters, doing his very best in CQC. But last second before getting wiped out, the Heart of Avalorn goes off. He's got Faint Riposte, and he is able to stick around at least for a little while. They're not quite able to take the mortar offline. In the meantime, his Sunfang is going to go off over here on the zombie pirate gunnery mob. And it actually roasts them pretty well. He takes them down by about half their HP, immediately just tanks them. But Tyrion is forced to retreat and forced to flee from the field unceremoniously there. In the meantime, the archery fire is going to start raining in on Noctilus, who's in a very grim spot. You can see the Sister of Avalorn are going to be able to push in and now start crossfiring him with the archers, just mowing him down. You can see he doesn't have the best of survivability against archery fire. 75 armor, it looks good on paper. In practice, it doesn't quite hold up the punishment he's receiving here. And so he's just getting destroyed. He's getting torn apart by that mass archer fire. Really doesn't cut it for poor Count Nocti here. And Sister of Avalorn, of course, dishing out a lot of hurt. You can see he poops out his zombie pirate deckhands there. He's being capable of forcing out these spearmen. But as he just tried to wade forward, perhaps to get some summons to try to stall me out, he is getting focused very hard. We're going to net him, which is going to drop his leadership thanks to the trait on the Lord of Light, and down goes Count Noctilus, which is going to shut down that undead leadership, shut down any further summons, and give us a huge edge in this game. You can see immediately the balance of power shifts from slightly out of my favor into pretty handily, at least, in my favor. Elsewhere, Spears fighting tooth and nail, and even Archers fighting tooth and nail to slow the advance of the undead here. You can see these animated Hulks here diving in against the Spears, providing some support in their last gasps of life before going down. They're disintegrating against the Archers. The Mage of Life actually threw her into the back, trying to disrupt these mortars for good. Once again, not really working out, and she's kind of struggling here. Really, it's really not working out for her. So she's going to be forced off by the pikes fairly shortly. In the meantime, though, the archers still sticking around. We have a lot of them. We still got Sister of Avalorn, 58 miles. There's 61 archers, 28 sisters, which is half a unit. And we're now able to simply kite away from all these very annoying zombies and crossfire the hell out of them. You can see these zombie pirate deckhands with polearms. Initially, we're focusing the summons, which was a mistake on my part, but we do shortly rectify it and focus out these deckhands with polearms. And they, of course, do not have the best of leadership nor the best of combat skill or survivability, so they're going to get quite a pounding here. You can see they fall apart pretty quickly. Over here, the Tide of Skuld finally is going to crumble away in the face of the Signs of Mathlon, who are a much better combat unit than they are. And over here, we are actually managing to lock these zombie pirate deckhands in place with our spears. Unfortunately, Tyrion, though, not doing the best, still kind of stuck out there. And unfortunately, the Mage of Light here is actually routed off, forced to flee in defeat. And yeah, she's not getting much done. She's actually, I think, going to get capped here by the Gunnery Wight. And you can see there she's losing some HP. I wonder if he's going to get the final shot here. She actually shatters by the look of it. I don't know if is he gonna cap her? Come on. No, apparently not. She shattered. Oh well. Regardless, the spears over here are going to get routed by the deckhands. But at this point, Romulan Dog has lost his final mortar to some stray fire. I'm not even entirely sure what. Perhaps just disintegrated. And now the Gunnery Wight over here is in full retreat, trying to escape. And the last zombie pirate deckhands here, kind of trying to stick around, but balance of power has shifted a little bit towards the middle. But as we're winning these peripheral fights, And as those last summons are being forced off the field, we're going to be put in a much, much better position. We're going to be able to start pressuring the line here, pushing forward with all these archers. And like I said before, the mortars, while they do a good amount of damage, they haven't really done that much model killing. So these guys do still have a decent amount of power left to them. And we're going to be able to start wailing on these zombie pirate gunnery mobs. And you can see they're really not having the best of times. In the meantime, as this line is going to buckle here, these last few zombie pirate deckhands, we are going to be able to sort of wipe out, mop these zombie pirate deckhands. You can see the spearmen here are actually taking quite a pounding as they try to close the gap. Despite their silver shields, it's just not quite cutting the mustard. Over these spearmen trying to close, Tyrion trying to close on 900 HP just to do a little bit of work. But you know, the archers, they're doing some damage. They're kind of pulling those guys down. And Tyrion is trying to get in on the cannon. The carronade has 2 models left. He's going to dive right in, chops one of the zombies aside, and is now trying to get on top of the gun. But unfortunately, he's going to take that crossfire from the handguns. He's very squishy to those. Doesn't have the best resistance, really. And the carronade's going to stick around, unfortunately. Over here, the gunnery white is getting caught out by the mass focus fire from the archers. He's being forced to back off and reconsider his life decisions. You can see in full retreat there with only 30 armor. He's really susceptible to the sort of archery that he's suffering here. The spearmen, you can see pursuing him. The Sons of Mathlon want a piece of that booty, and he's not quite able to escape. So definitely some rough stuff. The gunnery white's going to start disintegrating. Tyrion's actually routed but survived on 7 HP. Definitely a little unfortunate for my opponent there. And actually, bounce of power once again shifting out of my favor as Tyrion's forced off the field. But the gunnery white now in full retreat. The handguns will be able to rout off the Sons of Mathlon, but not before we dealt with the gunnery white. And now at this point, I'm pretty confident of my ability to win because I've gotten in range of the carronade. We're going to be able to start whittling these guys down. Can't see that focused fire of the archers. It's just tearing it apart. What's one of the last threats to my army. And although it might look grim with these full HP Black Spot and the reasonable HP on the Pirate Gunnery Mob and these Zombie Pirate Deckhands over here, the fact of the matter is Elven Spearmen have much better stats than these guys. They're going to endure in a very protracted engagement. And now, as my archers start running out of ammo, we're actually going to commit them to melee. You can see their melee attack of 16 and defense of 14. They have basically double the stats of these handguns, so they're going to start cleaving them down very, very quickly. And so bad. Archers slugging out at close quarters, but they're doing better than these guys by quite a bit. So as they handily take these guys down, losing a few models, we are going to be able to dispatch these Pirate Gunnery Mob. I still do have some Sisters of Avalorn as well, so if they get into close quarters, they will handily beat the Black Spot. We still have some spears, and at this point my opponent's army is simply going to disintegrate. Last minute sort of mop up for the poor pirates, and you can see the balance of power still actually kind of favorable before you GG these out. So well played to Romulan Dog. I think this is a really bad matchup for the Vampire Coast simply because of power of high elf shooting and the cheapness of high elf shooting. This was not an optimal build, guys. If you are looking for something that's more competitive, I would dump Tyrion, bring either Alariel or maybe just on a horse, or Teclis on a horse, and then either perhaps bring a noble if you want some more flexible anti-large. But I honestly probably wouldn't even bother with a noble. I'd probably recommend just using those spare spare cash you have because you didn't spend a boatload of money on Tyrion and a butt ton of money on these guys. I'd probably just bring a handful more melee units and perhaps some Illyrian Reavers. Illyrian Reavers would have been much more valuable here because they could have gotten into the backline. They could have compromised those pirate gunnery mobs. One of the big problems was that I just didn't have enough units to really pressure that backline. And had I had, say, 3 or 4 units of Illyrian Reavers in there, which honestly, math-wise, if we compare, if we look at the customs real quick, and because this build I can rather quickly replicate it. We had Tyrion, who came in on Malhandir. He had his full kit, so that he looked like an absolute boss. The Handmaiden was actually completely stripped down. She had like that. And the Mage of Light didn't have too much going for her either. She was on a horse. She had Exorcism, because I think that's pretty solid. I actually brought Shim's Burning Gaze, which I didn't get to use. So that was her kit. I forget if I brought a Book of Hoeth, but for this cost, Tyrion obviously is a huge amount of money. So if we bring Teclis, put him on a horse, we can even bring all these items if we really want to. Bring Blackpowder Convocation, why not? We can honestly dump Enfeebling Foe because we're not really caring to enfeeble anybody. Well, it's only 40 gold. But dump Chain Lightning, that's not really worth it. Flaming Sword of Ruin, honestly, well, up to you. We don't have to bother with either of those. I wouldn't really bother with Flock of Doom because I don't think you're going to be trying to use it all that often, or at all maybe. Honestly, I wouldn't even bother with regrowth, because in this build, we're not bringing any unit that's going to benefit hugely from regrowth, because it's such a DACA and light unit build. So you don't need regrowth, and that's 200 gold you're saving right there. Cut the mage, and suddenly you have a lot more money on the field. You can easily bring build comparable to mine, double sisters, scions, 4 spears, archers with light armor, and you still have 2,700 gold left. So you could actually get like 4 Illyrian Reavers. You could even upgrade 2 of these guys to Illyrian Reaver archers. And I think this is a far better build, honestly. Because so you gotta keep in mind, if your opponent does decide for whatever reason brings like Rotting Prometheans or whatever, you do have enough archers to focus them down. You've got spears to bog them down. You've got archers. You've got Sister of Avalorn. You can focus that very heavily. And your opponent's still gonna have a bunch of chaff and crap that you can shave away with everything else here. So I think this is really the way to go. You'll get some decent performance, I think, out of a build like this one. You can, like I said, you can dump Boundfire Codification, save yourself more money that way. Like, you could easily have a very cheap build here. You can even get these guys up to like an archer status. You know, there's a bunch of ways you could do this. You can do silver helms in there. Or dump these guys, get silver helms with shields, and then 600 gold. But whatever, you guys get what my meaning. There's a lot of different ways you could take this. You could downgrade these guys to normal armor, fiddle around with stats here or there. Perhaps you could find somewhere to shave off a little gold to get some more stuff. Either way, you guys get my meaning. I wouldn't say that's an optimal build, but hey, it's fun. As far as Romulan Zog builds goes, I think it's pretty solid. I would try to get on the Gunnery White, and I haven't really played this matchup all that much, so it's a little difficult. I would try to get the Enchanted Ballistics on the Gunnery White. I think they'd be very beneficial at making mortars a little bit more accurate and competitive. Otherwise, chevron off the mortars a little bit. You're going to have a hard time, in my opinion, dealing with archers without the mortars. There's not really many other options the faction has that aren't completely suicidal, like trying to dive into Terrorgeist or YOLO in with Felbats or deck droppers, all of which I don't think would work out very well. So I really do think that mortars are the way to go. I think he was right there, but I think you'd be better off with the Enchanted Ballistics. You could easily, I think, dump Dead Eyes, because that's not really going to do very much with the mortar. I see no bomb throw. And I'd dump Scab's Wrath, because that's not going to do very much. And yeah. And as far as Noctilus, honestly, I'd consider bringing Noctilus on foot, because he's very susceptible to DACA on his Colossus. I know it's very popular right now, in vogue, so to say, to bring him on the Colossus than I do it myself, to be honest. But you can get him much cheaper on foot. Like with the build he brought there, obviously he didn't bring a Wind of Death, and I don't think he brought the Withering. But he paid like 3,000 for Noctilus, and had him super easy for me to shoot down, whereas he could have paid like 700 less, and been much harder for me to kill. So that's my 2 cents. I do think it was a pretty competitive and pretty smart build otherwise, as far as countering High Elves goes. But I do hope you guys... another interesting thing, I guess, was the animated Hulks, but I guess I can't really comment. It's difficult to have a decent unit to counteract heavy infantry that could like blitz through your front line, or slow it down, something like White Lions, without like either overpaying for Morngulls or Rotting Prometheans or stuff like that. So I don't know, it's tough. But I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found it entertaining and hopefully a little informative. I do think this is one of the tough matchups for the Vampire Coast, and I might be trying to sort it out. And if I find a really good build that gets good results, I might try to post it up. Otherwise, Romulan Dogs build I think is not bad if you're looking for a decent build for the matchup. I think it's a good baseline to work off. Yeah, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found it entertaining and fun to watch. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If you have any comments and criticism, as usual, do not hesitate to post them. I will do my very best to respond as soon as I can. I do thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.